Good afternoon and welcome to today's Thoughts at 3 live online assembly. My name is Matt and I am part of the schools team at Southampton City Mission, which is an independent Christian charity that serves the church in the city of Southampton as the church serves the city. We usually go into schools to deliver Question of Faith RE days and assemblies. But we're not doing that at the moment because we are still on lockdown and the schools are closed except to the children of key workers and vulnerable families. But we have decided instead to put our content online. So this week we're starting to send out Question of Faith home learning packs to schools, and we are still streaming our daily live online assemblies, which we call Thoughts at 3. Today's session will be very similar to what we've done previously and to what we would normally do if we're going into a school. And we'll start with something unusual today, not a story today, but something different. And then we will have some questions, some of your questions about our topic today. And then we will end with a prayer. Before I continue, let me just remind you to like our Facebook page if you're watching on Facebook, to subscribe to our channel if you're watching on YouTube. You can also get in touch as well via the live comments with your first name and the school that you normally go to, and we can give you a shout out on there. And also, if you've got any questions about today's topic, you can put them on there. And I can see already that people are already commenting with questions, which is really great. And so today's topic actually follows nicely after yesterday's online assembly, Thoughts at 3, which Ellie led, which was all about creation and about how Christians believe that God created this world that we live in. And actually worship follows next, which is our topic for today, because Christians believe that we were created to worship God, to show him love, to live our lives for him, and to not just love him, but to love those around us as well, the planet around us, the plants and the trees, and most importantly, the people. And so, although when we say worship, you might think of sung worship, maybe singing hymns, traditional hymns in a church. I don't know how many of you watching have ever been to church, but if you have, maybe it was for a wedding or a funeral or something like that. But actually, worship is more than just singing. However, this afternoon, I am going to start with a song, and which is something I've never done on air before, something I hardly ever do, in fact, is sing, because I'm not very good at singing. But one of our subscribers on YouTube, back when we started our channel about 2 weeks ago, she specifically said, could we do some worship? And so I said, well, Amy, I don't know if you're watching today, Amy, but hello if you are. We've got some assemblies coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and one of them will be about worship. So we will try and do some live worship then. So I'm going to use my guitar. This guitar, you've probably seen in a number of our videos that we've made before, just in the background. This is not my normal guitar, but this was a guitar that was bought for my son Charlie by his granddad, Bumper, he's called. So hello to Bumper if you're watching. I know he does sometimes. And he gave this to Charlie. It goes out of tune very, very quickly, but we're trying to keep it in tune. So I'll just give it a little, just quick strum here to see if it still sounds okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sing you a song, a traditional, maybe not traditional, but a typical type of worship song that Christians would sing in church when they get together for church meetings. And actually this song in particular is really important to me, because this was the song before I was a Christian, actually. This was the song. It's called How Great Is Our God by Chris Tomlin. That was the guy who wrote it, Chris. This song really spoke to me. I saw two of my friends worshiping, singing this song, and they were so emotive with this song. They seemed so passionate, and it made me think about what worship is, and wonder, well, is there something more to life than what we can see with a hear, touch, smell, taste with our five senses? Is there something more? And the way that they were not just singing, but just living this song, yeah, just really spoke to me. And a week later, actually, I became a Christian. I decided to believe in Jesus for myself. But this song has stuck with me. It's the first one I learned to play on guitar. and it's the one that I still know off by heart, the chords and the lyrics. But if I get it wrong, do forgive me. Ellie is going to behind the scenes try and keep up with me with the lyrics. She is waiting in standby to answer some of your questions later. But I'll sing this song without further ado, and then we'll get into some of your questions. So if you're watching while I'm singing, please put in the comments your first name, which school you're from, which school you know us from. If you don't go to school, if you're an adult watching, then just chuck in the school name of your kids or where you went when you were a kid, maybe, and whatever question you would like to ask about worship. I can see that we've already got Hannah from Durand Primary School in Wales saying hello and asking us a question. So hi, Hannah. Good to have you with us today. I'm sure Joshua is watching as well. We'll come back to you in a moment with your question after I've sung this song. The splendor of the King, clothed in majesty, let all the earth rejoice, all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, darkness tries to hide. Trembles at his voice, trembles at his voice. How great is our God? Won't you sing with me? How great is our God? Oh, we'll see how great is our God. Age to age is there. Time is in sad. Beginning and the end. Beginning and the end. The God and free one. The Father, Spirit, and Son. The Lion and the Lamb. The Lion and the Lamb. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? Oh, we'll see how great is our God. He's a name above all names. He is worthy of all praise, and my heart will sing how great our God. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. Oh, we'll see how great is our God. So that's what a worship song would sound like if you went into a church nearby to you. They might be singing with a guitar, maybe some drums, maybe on some keys, piano, or other instruments. But is that all that there is to worship? And actually, why do we do that? Why do Christians get together to sing these songs to God? We're going to flip over to the question studio and try and answer some of those questions. So just bear with me for a moment as I switch locations. There we are. So thank you so much for bearing with me during that song. I apologize to anyone who's got sensitive ears or any cats that might suddenly run out of the room or glasses that may have broken. I do not have the best singing voice, but as it was requested that we do some live worship, I thought that I would give it a try. So thank you for bearing with me. We're going to welcome Ellie into the stream now. She's going to help me to answer some questions. So I'm going to add her in. Here she comes. Hello, Ellie.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing,
Hello.
Ellie?
I'm doing well, thank you. I enjoyed your worship. Thank you very much. That's brilliant.
You're welcome. So we've got some questions already coming in, which is great. So I'm going to flip up this first question here from Hannah, who we heard about earlier, is currently watching us online. And she says, why do we worship? So maybe you could answer that for us, Ellie. Tell Hannah, why is it that we Christians worship? Why do we do that?
That's a really good question, actually, and it's probably one which a lot of people have. And I would say the answer is it is all about God. The word worship actually comes from the words worth and ship, W-O-R-T-H. And really, that's what it's all about. We are saying that God is worthy, and we want to celebrate his worth and give him the praise and recognition that we believe he deserves, that God that we heard about yesterday who created everything. But I think it's kind of more than that. Not that God needs praise, don't have to do that. He doesn't need it from us. But it's all about building that relationship with God. So we want to spend time singing his praises and doing great things because it's a way of building that relationship. It brings closer to him, and it kind of makes sure that God is at the center of our hearts.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's a great answer to a great question. So hopefully that answers your question, Hannah. If not, please let us know in the comments if you'd like a little bit more information. Our second question, which is a frequently asked question, is one that I'm going to try and answer, which is, do you have to be able to sing or play an instrument to worship God? And as you may have just heard, my playing is not the best. The Bible does say that God calls us to sing a new song, to worship him with our voice and on our instruments. But actually, worship is more than just singing. Worship is our whole lives. It's how we treat people, it's what we buy, it's how we look after the planet, it's how we think, how we speak, and how we act. So you don't need to be able to sing, you don't need to be able to play an instrument to worship God. Worshipping God is actually about living your whole life for him. And sometimes that happens in the context of singing. Sometimes it could be dancing, sometimes it could be painting. You can see on the wall here behind me, we've got some pictures that my children have drawn. And those were in times of worship. Instead of singing, instead of dancing, instead of playing an instrument, they decided they wanted to get creative and they wanted to draw these pictures that you see behind me. So that was their act of worship. So you don't have to be able to sing or play an instrument to worship. No. The third question that we've got, before we come to the comments, which there is another question actually for us to answer. Ellie, if you could answer this next question, which is, what does worshipping God do? So we've talked about how we do it. We've talked about why we do it. We've talked about what it is, but what does it do? Is there any point?
Yeah, I would say there's absolutely a point. It kind of links to my answer from that first question about why we worship God. And it's all about that relationship we have with God. I find that when I spend time worshipping, which like Matt said, might be through singing, but might be through painting or drawing or just having quiet time, it really strengthens that relationship with God. It helps direct my mind and fix my heart on God, who as Christians, we believe is more important than else. You can sometimes be tempted to worship other things like my mobile phone or the television or a celebrity, but actually worshipping God is just about focusing your focus on him. And I think that really helps me as I try, and it really gives me that sense of peace and joy that I think worship can bring as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ellie. Then we do have another question in the comments, actually, from someone that you might know. And so Jordan asked the question, what is the best memory for each of you? So this is presumably for both of us to answer. But what is the best memory of a worship time that you've been to or involved in? I'll answer that question first with this answer, which is that I was once in a church, and it was only a couple of years after I'd become a Christian, and it was a Saturday morning, and there was a breakfast, and then a guy got up to play the guitar, and it was only him. I think there might have been a guy maybe playing the pianos as well, and a girl on the drums, someone else singing. It wasn't like a big band. It wasn't an amazing atmosphere, anything like that. But actually, this guy couldn't sing. He was literally stone deaf, and he played that song that I've just played to you this afternoon, and it sounded awful. And I apologize to the guy. I don't know his name. I haven't seen him since or before, but he's just sounded awful. And I thought, what is this? How can I'm not getting anything out of this? And then I felt God speak to me and say, actually, he's not doing it for you, Matt. He's doing it for me. And as I realized that, actually, my heart started to change. And I entered into that, as did lots of people around me, and they began to sing with enthusiasm. And then we all felt, I think, something shift in the atmosphere, and the presence of God come and change the atmosphere. And it was probably the most powerful time of worship that I have ever been in the last 15 years since becoming a Christian. Of this guy who literally couldn't sing a note. He would have been booed off on the X Factor. He would have got the 4 X's on Britain's Got Talent. He wouldn't make any record sales in the real world, in the natural world, I should say. But his worship was amazing. His worship was beautiful, and it spoke to the heart of God, I believe, and it really impacted those of us that were there as well. So for you, Ellie, what's the best memory that you have of a time of worship?
Well, that is a bit tricky because I could probably name quite a few, but one that sticks out for me is from a time at Soul Survivor. So Soul Survivor, a big Christian conference event camp that I went to with our youth group from our church a few times over the last few years, and there are thousands of people all in one piece worshiping God. And for me, I'm not that musical. I don't feel like I'm a very good singer, but to hear thousands of people around me singing a song which is all to give God glory and praise is just incredible. And actually for me in those moments, sometimes I join in with singing the words, but actually I love to stay silent. And sometimes I have my colouring book with me and I will draw things because I like to worship through art. And I can just hear all of these voices praising the same God, that same God who knows me and loves me. And it's just a real atmosphere. And I just feel that love kind of surrounding me in that moment. So that's just one example. But I really liked your story as well, Matt.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you so much for that question, Jordan. That's really great. So our time together now is almost at an end, but I am going to say a prayer to finish our time as we normally do. But before we go, just say goodbye to you, Ellie. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon to answer those questions. Really appreciate that. We look forward to your thoughts at 3 tomorrow, which I'll tell the viewers about in a moment. But for now, we'll see you soon. Goodbye. Great. So we will end with a prayer, as I mentioned, and this is just me talking to God. If you would like to agree, then at the end, when I say amen, you can also say amen. You don't have to, and if you don't, nothing will happen. It will just go over your head. But just take a moment, maybe close your eyes if you want to, or hold your hands open, whatever works best for you. And if you'd like to agree, you can say amen. Dear God, thank you that you have given us the ability to use every part of who we are to worship you. Help us to know that the greatest thing we can do with our lives is to love you with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love our neighbours as we love ourselves. May we reflect your wonder, your glory, your awesome nature in everything that we think, say, and do. If you would like to agree, you can say amen. So just before we go, just wanted to say hello to a couple of people who have commented on the live chat while we've been on air. So Jordan says, great answers. I'm glad that you like those answers, Jordan. Thanks for your approval there, much appreciated. Glad that they hit the mark. And then we've got Kieran and Lara saying hello. Hi, Kieran. Hi, Lara. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow, if you've got any questions, add them onto the stream, and then we can answer those questions tomorrow. And then also, oh yeah, we've got one of my friends saying hello as well, Vicky here, who's one of my friends from Wales, who actually was one of the people who was really instrumental in that story I told you earlier. She was one of the friends who I saw worshipping with all her heart, soul, mind, and strength. That really spoke to me and made me wonder about what worship was all about. It's lovely to see you with us, Vicky. Thanks for joining us. If you do have any questions or things that you would like to tell us about these assemblies, then please feel free to email us at schools@southamptoncitymission.co.uk. Our Thoughts at 3 tomorrow will be at the same time, 3 p.m. That's Wednesday, 22nd of April. And Ellie is going to be speaking on Jesus the Storyteller. So if you have any questions about Jesus, about stories, or about why Jesus told stories, then please add those onto the comments of the video. I'm about to post that. So in about 5 minutes after we end now, I'm going to post that up to YouTube and Facebook. So you can already start adding those questions onto the comments for tomorrow. Please do let us have those. And we look forward to seeing you then. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.